So, Jay, I just kind of want to just chat about like our experiences of going through arts and our experience with just all the practices of it as well, to really finding our voice and the confidence in it, and really, testing, finding our open stutter through all the experiences that we went through before arts, our lives before and then and now, and kind of comparing that big transitional piece that we had that brought us to that that point in our life to where we could go outside our comfort zone, go out into the world and show what our true voice is like. I kind of just wanted to pick your brain, but first, wanted to hear in your own words, kind of just describing what arts is to new individuals.
Yeah, I think arts, so avoidance reduction therapy for stuttering. I mean, for those of us that stutter like me, the big issue is trying to avoid stuttering, and that causes my stuttering to be worse. And so every other therapy I'd went to was more called fluency shaping, whereas trying to help me learn how to hide my stutter or how to like kind of trick people to think I'm being fluent. And in arts, it was like just go ahead and stutter, take away all that stress of trying to avoid stuttering, just go ahead and stutter. And then what happens is instead of struggling, I just stutter. So instead of, saying my name, like my name is Jay, that would be the old way I would do it. I'm trying to hide, I'm trying to avoid. There's a lot of struggle. Now I just say, my name is Jay, and I just do it. And it's just so much easier.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that piece, Jay, is that a lot of what avoidance reduction was to me compared to all my prior therapies was just one is trying to mask an individual that I was, trying to show that this person who I am has a problem. And arts avoidance reduction therapy was just showing me that this is a different way to talk, a different way to be human, and that's okay. And I love that it showed me the comfort and joy that I could get from a lot of what I was looking for in my communication. That was a big piece of what I was always trying to find, and I was going about it. I discovered it the wrong way. And fluency shaping really supported those negative mindsets and behaviors I would say that I had. Yeah. I wanted to ask, when you first went into arts, what was that background? Who was Jay when you were going into your first avoidance reduction therapy? How are you introduced? Where was your mindset at with your stutter?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people seeing this coming from all different backgrounds. So I was about 40-ish when I came into arts. I had kind of accepted that I was always going to be kind of broken, is how I always felt. And, I really came in kind of at a like emotional bottom where I just felt like I could never show people who I was uh, because I just had a negative view of what stuttering was. Like if someone saw me stutter, they would think I'm dumb, I'm ugly, I'm not smart, I can't do anything well, all those things. And yeah, but coming in and hearing everyone in arts tell me that it's okay to stutter, just like go ahead and stutter. And then to actually do it, I had never really kind of stuttered openly among people without worry, without concern or shame. And that's kind of a crazy thing to be a 40-year-old man and never stuttering on purpose, it was a very freeing experience, you know.
Yeah, it's for me myself. I can only imagine going 40 years with feeling just as though you've had to hide so much of your genuine and authentic self. For me myself, it was actually 20 years. It
Right.
was going through a lot of that before I met another person who started and before I went into arts and just trying to this new process of finding myself and going into that who I was before a voice reduction therapy was a really anxious, nervous kid who was trying to avoid a lot of different social situations, trying to really discover who I am and seeing a lot of opportunities and shying away from them because of my stutter, because I was afraid of expressing my voice, showing my true self, and being authentic in different sorts of ways. And I would say that when I first went into arts, it was something that was really, really different. I was going through speech therapy through all my life at that point, from age 4 to age 18, and going to university, discovering that this was something offered on my university was something that was really interesting. I was willing to try it. I really wanted to restart my life back in undergrad. And I remember my first time going in, I was like, what is happening? This is okay to talk this way, to show yourself, to stutter. It was something that was just so, so mind-boggling. And I wanted to acknowledge that challenge through this talk is that background of where we were going into it. It's going totally outside your comfort zone, going totally into a space where you're not sure what to expect or what you're going to find about yourself going into as well. I wanted to ask you, what were some challenges that you faced beginning your arts therapy process?
I mean, I think the hardest thing for me was just to allow myself to have a different idea of what stuttering was. I thought it was such a negative thing. Like me stuttering, I hated to hear myself stutter, and it just had a lot of negative intonations in my head. And so for someone to say, go ahead and stutter. So when I would do that, I had to learn to say, it's okay. Like the way you're talking is okay. Uh, that was really the big one. It sounds so simple, but for those of us that stutter, especially even if you're 20, 40, whatever age, getting over that mental hurdle is really huge. And what really helped was being in a room of other people stuttering and seeing them farther along down the path and just seeing them stutter with abandon, saying everything
Yeah.
they want to say, everyone, and no one's rushing them. There's no time constraint. Everyone's just communicating and everyone kind of stutters in like a different way. And it was just a really beautiful thing, something I had never experienced before. How about you?
Yeah, I would say that for myself, going so long without being another person who started was such a very um just caged experience. I felt as though I was just in this bubble where outside this bubble, all I saw was the self-percep so sorry, was the perception that uh, uh, others put onto me through the bullying, the teasing, through the rejection, and myself looking back out was just me kind of repeating that own experience that I had, saying to myself that my stutter was something that was ugly, that was unattractive, that was something that was going to just bring misfortune or lack of opportunity or however. And it was going into a space to where, as you just said, finding others who were going into this process and seeing where they were in their journey and their acceptance and even in their own joy, happiness, and comfort was just an inspiring thing. I won't lie, it was hard going into arts first because it was challenging a lot of those views and perceptions that I had, but it was what kept bringing me back was the shared experiences, the commonality and community that I was now embracing and enjoying, and just a lot of what I was trying to grasp was that I can be happy and be a person who stutters. This is something that doesn't define me, and I am very, very grateful for a lot of what was brought to me through my peers and through the whole therapy practices that were there from Vivian and just the whole arts therapy program too. It was something that brought me something that I never thought I would ever have. And it was hard. It was working a lot into it, challenging a lot of what I made comfortable, what I made familiar, and all I knew now was just so much negativity, and I could break through it and find my voice, find my confidence, and be who Aiden is, and that's someone who is a million things, but is not defined by his stutter. And that was something I really appreciated from my experiences as as well. When it comes to a lot of people who may watch this video, Jay, do you have any like tips or advice or shared thoughts on kind of what they should have going into their first art session?
Yeah, I think that I kind of went in blind. I didn't really kind of understand what we were going to be doing. I think that uh, going in with an open mind is really the biggest thing because it is not like any other therapy that I had been in where people were trying to teach me tools and trying to control the stutter. And this is really like letting go of control. Like, what happens if you just talked and you
Yeah.
just stuttered and you just let it all out? Like, let it get real ugly. Like, how ugly can you get it? And just let that happen, and just it was taking me to places I had never wanted to go before, but through that process, I just got to get rid of a lot of that shame. And so, yeah, I would just tell people, like, be ready to just really find out who you are as someone that stutters rather than going into like a lot of these programs where they're promising they're going to cure you. Like, uh, I'm a person that stutters. Like, I'm never going to not stutter. And that's okay. And like you said, I can be successful and happy in all those things and be a person that stutters. And I never thought that that was possible.
Yeah, I would say that as well is I absolutely love what you said in your message of exactly driving that point of these two things can coexist and they can coincide with one another. And especially when it comes to tips for just newcomers and advice to them as well. This is going to be something that may be hard, it may be easy, but overall, this is something that can for sure give you a feeling, a sensation, a piece of your life back if stuttering is something that you feel is holding you back.
I
And
think
the community,
sorry, I think you've always been a really good advocate for mental health too. Like, this is a really important part of this is that, I feel like a lot of people who hide their stutter, they're really struggling with their mental health, and that this is something that can really help them kind of free them of all that stress and pressure, right?
exactly, yeah, exactly. So it's when it comes to that big piece of what all the benefits that arts has. It's for me myself, I've said it in my other open stutter videos, but I live with depression, and that's one biggest question is, am I enough? And sometimes my negative experiences with my stutter can exacerbate that negative feelings and questions. And when it came to arts, it was finding those positives and finding those ways to see successes in my stutter, in my ability to communicate effectively and comfortably as well, and building my level of self-efficacy, building my sense of joy and confidence and all of those just different components. And it's always something that I will always get emotional saying, but it's just one thing I always love about this program is the community that it builds to, seeing others along their journeys and hearing experiences that you may have dealt with, that someone may have dealt with something similar to you, and so on, and just being heard and seen and going into your assignments and those obstacles and challenges and taking it not just with feeling of seeing your SOP maybe once or so on, but also coming back to a support group of people who talk and think the same way as you too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is amazing to think that I, for so long, thought I was the only one having all these feelings and like I was going through all this myself. And then I meet all these people, different age groups and backgrounds, and I feel like stutterers are all going through the same thing. And so the power of bringing us together is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay. Thanks so much for getting this a chance to do this quick, kind of short talk. I'd love to just for those individuals who really wanted to talk about or get to know arts and just what the process is like, and just knowing what their first session is coming to, what to expect, what to think about when you first come into your first session, and all those thoughts that may arise and come. I think this was a great kind of talk for people just to see something short and quick, and just allows to kind of us talk about the visceral and raw emotions that we felt through it all.
I I agree. And so thanks for having me on, and I always love to talk to you. Thanks, Aiden.
Thanks, Jay.